Inflammation is your body's fire alarm, and what you eat often lights the fuse. Acute inflammation is the short-term, protective flare after an injury or infection. Chronic inflammation is a long-running, low-grade state linked to pain and disease. To quiet the flame, build meals around vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish, with omega-3 fats as the backbone. Prioritize omega-3 sources like salmon, mackerel, sardines, plus plant options such as flax and chia, aiming for 2 servings of fatty fish per week and steady omega-3 intake across meals. Watch the company you keep on your plate. Big swings toward ultra-processed foods and excess sugars push inflammation up, so skip sugary drinks, packaged snacks, and refined carbs as much as you can. For real-world impact, these spice dosages are handy. Turmeric with black pepper, roughly 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of turmeric per day, with a pinch of black pepper to boost absorption. Ginger 1-2 grams per day. Cinnamon 0.5 to 1 teaspoon per day. Garlic 1-2 cloves daily. These aren't miracle fixes, but they're easy add-ins that fit into everyday cooking and can support smoother inflammatory balance when paired with a whole food pattern. One-day plate. Breakfast of oats with blueberries, chia, walnuts, and a light sprinkle of cinnamon. Lunch is salmon bowl with mixed greens, avocado, cherry tomatoes, cucumber, and olive oil, lemon dressing. Snack an apple with a small handful of almonds. Dinner lentil curry with turmeric, ginger, garlic, and spinach served over brown rice. Drink water and a cup of green tea. What inflammation really is. Inflammation is the body's built-in defense system that flips on when tissues are damaged or pathogens invade. Immune cells rush to the site, blood vessels widen, and signaling molecules summon more help. Acute inflammation is fast and short-lived. It usually lasts a few hours to a few days, and its goal is to contain trouble and start repair. You can often see and feel the signs: redness, warmth, swelling, and pain, while the area heals. If the threat is cleared, the response winds down and normal tissue function returns. When the trigger sticks around or the response overshoots, the system can linger as chronic inflammation, a low-grade, ongoing state that can subtly affect how the body functions over time. Chronic inflammation isn't a single event. It's a slow, persistent pattern that can contribute to conditions like joint pain, metabolic changes, and some autoimmune processes. It's not a magical monster under the bed, but it is a clue that the body is continually mounting an immune response to ongoing stress. In modern life, a mix of persistent triggers can push inflammation into a chronic state. Poor sleep, stress, sedentary habits, and excess body fat all matter. Diet plays a big role, too. Ultra-processed foods loaded with added sugars, refined carbs, and unhealthy fats can tilt the balance toward inflammation by promoting insulin resistance and minor tissue stress. Emulsifiers, certain trans fats, and high-fructose sweeteners are common culprits in this pattern. When meals regularly revolve around highly processed items, the body tends to keep inflammatory signals elevated rather than quieting them after a meal. A practical view is to favor real, nutrient-dense foods that our grandmothers would recognize and to minimize ultra-processed choices that can carry inflammatory baggage even if they taste convenient in the moment. A solid anti-inflammatory pattern rests on whole foods and smart fat choices. Focus on colorful vegetables and fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and high-quality olive oil as the main stage. Choose omega-3, rich foods regularly, because EPA and DHA from fish help temper inflammatory signaling. Fatty fish, such as salmon, sardines, and mackerel provide a reliable dose of EPA and DHA. Aim for about 2 servings per week. Plant-based sources matter too. Ground flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, and hemp seeds supply ELA, which the body can convert to EPA and DHA, though the conversion rate is modest. If you're not eating fish, consider algae-based DHA as an alternative. In daily practice, a pattern that leans on home-prepared meals with vegetables, a bit of fruit, whole grains, and modest portions of fish or seeds tends to dampen inflammatory responses compared with meals built from ultra-processed products. Spice and herb choices can support the pattern without promising miracle results. Turmeric contains curcumin, and its absorption improves markedly when taken with fat and black pepper. A practical, evidence-based approach is to use 500 to 1,000 milligrams of curcumin per day, taken in divided doses, and pair it with 20 mg of piperine for black pepper or with a small amount of healthy fat to improve uptake. Ginger is another ally. Typical anti-inflammatory dosing in studies ranges from about 1–2 grams per day, which you can spread across meals or beverages. Cinnamon can be useful too, with a daily amount around 1.5 teaspoons, roughly 3 grams, of Ceylon cinnamon recommended to avoid higher coumarin exposure found in some cassia varieties. If you add spices, consider using turmeric with pepper and enjoy ginger in tea or stirred into warm oats or vegetables. Garlic and onions bring their own anti-inflammatory phytochemicals as well, so adding them to sauces, roasts, or soups provides both flavor and benefit. These practices keep expectations realistic. Spices help support a healthy pattern. They don't erase disease or instantly halt inflammation on its own. A practical approach combines the above with realistic portions and meals. Build plates around vegetables first. Add a palm-sized portion of protein rich in omega-3s. Choose whole grains, and finish with healthy fats and flavor from herbs and spices. If you're chasing a target, a reasonable plan is 2 servings of fatty fish weekly and several daily sources of ALA through flaxseed or walnuts. Keep ultra-processed foods to a minimum and favor snacks that combine fiber, protein, and healthy fats, which can help blunt inflammatory spikes after meals. Regular physical activity, adequate sleep, and stress management further support a balanced inflammatory response. It's not about chasing a single miracle food, but about making a pattern that supports steady, day-to-day inflammatory balance. One-day plate. Breakfast is a bowl of oats cooked with unsweetened almond milk, topped with blueberries, walnuts, ground flaxseed, and a light dusting of cinnamon. A small latte made with milk or a fortified plant-based drink adds fat and helps with curcumin absorption if you use turmeric in a warm drink. Lunch features a fillet of baked salmon on a bed of leafy greens, quinoa, cherry tomatoes, cucumber, avocado, and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, with lemon juice and a pinch of black pepper. Afternoon snack is a sliced apple with a handful of almonds and a square of dark chocolate, paired with a cup of ginger tea. Dinner is a hearty lentil stew enriched with garlic, onion, turmeric, ginger, and spinach, served beside roasted broccoli and a side of whole grain bread. The plate centers on vegetables, includes omega-3, rich fish, uses spices mindfully, and avoids ultra-processed choices. One-day plate. Foods that cool inflammation. Inflammation is the body's built-in alarm system, a normal response to injury or infection. Acute inflammation is quick and purposeful. It swells, heats, and helps heal, then it settles once the problem is resolved. Chronic inflammation, by contrast, sticks around for months or years and can contribute to ongoing discomfort or help set the stage for a range of health issues. Choosing foods that cool inflammation means leaning on real, whole foods rather than pills or highly refined products. The aim is steady nourishment that supports tissue function and immune balance. Whole food patterns put vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and quality proteins at the center of meals. Omega-3 fats matter, especially in fatty fish such as salmon, sardines, and mackerel, which provide long-chain EPA and DHA that appear to dampen inflammatory signals. Plant-based options matter too, with ground flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, and some algae oils contributing beneficial fats. 2 servings of fatty fish per week is a common target, and daily plant-based options help keep the omega-3 balance favorable. Olive oil, avocado, and other minimally processed fats can replace more inflammatory fats in everyday cooking. Colorful vegetables like leafy greens, broccoli, and peppers supply polyphenol that support the body's anti-inflammatory processes. Ultra-processed foods and added sugars can drive inflammation by promoting blood sugar spikes and gut changes that push inflammatory pathways. A practical approach is to cook from mostly real ingredients most days and to read labels for hidden sugars and additives. Limiting sugary beverages and snack foods is a simple step, and focusing on fiber-rich foods helps stabilize post-meal blood sugar. High intake of added sugars has been associated with higher levels of inflammatory markers in several studies. The overall pattern matters more than any single nutrient, so prioritize meals built around whole foods rather than quick fixes. Here are evidence-based spice dosages you can actually use in cooking. Turmeric is best used with black pepper to boost absorption. 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of turmeric per day is a practical culinary target, and supplement doses of about 500 to 1,000 milligrams curcumin taken once or twice daily are common in studies. Ginger can be added as fresh or dried. Aim for about 1-2 grams per day, often via tea or soup. Garlic provides anti-inflammatory compounds. 1-2 cloves daily is a typical amount in meals. Cinnamon adds flavor and supportive effects. 0.5-1 teaspoon per day is a reasonable range. Capsaicin-containing chili peppers can contribute as well, added to taste. Pair these spices with healthy fats to improve absorption, and watch for any personal interactions with medications or conditions you have. One-day plate. Breakfast bowl with 1 cup cooked oats, 1/2 cup blueberries, 1 tablespoon ground flaxseed, 1 tablespoon chopped walnuts, and a pinch of cinnamon. Lunch bowl with 3-4 oz baked salmon, 2 cups mixed greens, 1/2 cup cooked quinoa, 1/4 avocado, cherry tomatoes, and an olive oil, lemon dressing. Snack of sliced apple with 2 tablespoons almond butter. Dinner of 3-4 oz grilled sardines, 1 cup roasted broccoli, 1/2 cup roasted sweet potato, and a kale salad with olive oil dressing. This plate emphasizes real foods, steady fats, a variety of colors, and spice use that supports anti-inflammatory patterns. Foods that fired up. Acute inflammation is the body's quick, localized response to infection or injury, designed to heal and resolve in a short time. Chronic inflammation, by contrast, lingers for months or years and can coincide with everyday habits and foods. Certain foods reliably fire up this low-grade flame when eaten regularly in processed forms. Ultra-processed snacks, sugar-sweetened beverages, refined grains like white bread and pastries, fried foods, and processed meats tend to push inflammatory signals upward. Excessive amounts of omega-6 fats from many seed oils can tilt the balance away from calm, especially when the overall diet is light on omega-3s. Alcohol in high amounts and abrupt dietary shifts can also spark inflammatory pathways. The picture is not one note, but these items show up consistently in patterns associated with higher inflammatory markers in studies. A practical approach is to lean into whole food patterns that favor fiber, plant polyphenol, and stable fats, while keeping omega-3 sources front and center. 2 servings of fatty fish weekly provide EPA and DHA that help counter inflammation. Ground flaxseed or chia seeds add alpha-linolenic acid and fiber, while walnuts supply healthy fats and polyphenol. Aim for a balanced omega-6 to omega-3 ratio by moderating fried foods and choosing olive oil or other reasonable fats rather than heavy reliance on highly processed seed oils. Choose vegetables like leafy greens, broccoli, and peppers, along with berries for antioxidant compounds, and pair them with whole grains such as oats or quinoa and legumes. This kind of pattern supports a steadier inflammatory state and helps offset pro-inflammatory exposures when they occur. Spices can subtly shift the inflammatory balance, and they deserve practical dosing if you're using them regularly. Turmeric with black pepper is among the most studied combinations. Typical culinary use is 0.5 to 1 teaspoon per meal, with 5-20 mg of piperine per dose to boost absorption when using extracts. If you're taking turmeric capsules, 500 milligrams to 1-0 mg per dose, twice daily, is a common range in research contexts. Ginger at 1-2 grams per day can be incorporated through tea, cooking, or a divided supplement dose. Cinnamon can be used at 0.5-3 grams per day, commonly 1-2 teaspoons, depending on tolerance and overall goals. Capsaicin from chili peppers may contribute to anti-inflammatory effects in some people when used in typical culinary amounts. Individual response varies, and these spices work best as part of a broader, real food pattern rather than as a miracle cure. Ultra-processed foods are a sizable pitfall. They bring additives, emulsifiers, excess sugar, and salty flavors that can disrupt gut flora and raise inflammatory signals in some individuals. Fast food meals, packaged snacks, sugary cereals, and convenience meals often fit this category. The move toward whole foods most of the time reduces exposure to those triggers. The idea isn't to chase perfection, but to build a dietary rhythm that consistently supports stability and reduces the likelihood of flare-ups, especially if you're someone who notices how your body responds to certain munchies or beverages. One-day plate. Start with a breakfast that blends fiber, protein, and anti-inflammatory spices. Oatmeal with blueberries, a tablespoon of ground flaxseed, a small handful of walnuts, a pinch of cinnamon, and a light splash of milk or fortified plant milk. A turmeric ginger latte, using 1/2 teaspoon turmeric with a pinch of black pepper and a splash of fat like cream or coconut milk, helps absorption and flavor. For lunch, a salmon salad loaded with leafy greens, cherry tomatoes, cucumber, olives, and quinoa, dressed with olive oil and lemon, provides EPA/DHA and fiber. Add an avocado slice to boost healthy fats. A mid-afternoon snack could be yogurt with raspberries and chia seeds. For dinner, stir-fried shrimp or chicken with broccoli, bell peppers, onion, garlic, a touch of ginger, and turmeric over brown rice offers bright flavors and anti-inflammatory compounds. Finish with a small piece of dark chocolate, around 70% of cocoa, or a bowl of berries to satisfy without overdoing sugar. This plate emphasizes whole foods, balanced fats, omega-3 sources, and evidence-based spice amounts while steering away from ultra-processed temptations. Spices that truly help. Acute inflammation is the body's quick, local response to injury or infection, bringing warmth, redness, swelling, and pain as immune cells rush to the scene. Chronic inflammation is a longer, low-grade state that can persist for months or years, often with subtler symptoms and a slower toll on tissues. Spices can play a meaningful supporting role in inflammation control when they're part of a real food pattern rather than a quick fix. Pair them with a diet that emphasizes vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and omega-3 sources, and you build a steadier, more balanced approach. Ultra-processed foods and excess added sugars, by contrast, tend to promote inflammatory processes and should be limited. Turmeric, especially its active curcumin compound, is one of the most studied anti-inflammatory spices. Evidence-based dosing commonly falls in the 500 to 2,000 milligrams of curcumin per day range, often in standardized extracts. If you're cooking with turmeric powder, roughly 1 to 3 grams daily can contribute meaningful amounts without overwhelming flavors. To boost its absorption, pairing turmeric with black pepper is helpful because piperine can dramatically increase curcumin uptake. A practical kitchen approach is adding a pinch of black pepper to turmeric-rich dishes or using a curcumin supplement that includes piperine when appropriate for you. This isn't a miracle cure, but a consistent practice within a whole food pattern can support the body's inflammatory balance over time. Ginger is another spice with broad use and solid evidence for anti-inflammatory effects. Daily amounts around 1 to 2 grams are common in studies focusing on inflammatory markers, though some trials test higher or lower amounts for specific symptoms. Fresh ginger in stir-fries, soups, or tea, and ground ginger in baking or sauces can contribute to those totals without turning meals into novelty items. Ginger's benefits appear alongside other dietary changes rather than in isolation, and it can help with nausea and digestion as a practical bonus. If you're on anticoagulants or have bleeding concerns, check with a clinician before relying on high-dose ginger as a regular supplement. Garlic brings plant-based anti-inflammatory compounds like allicin into the mix. Typical culinary use of 1 to 2 cloves per day provides noticeable flavor and immeasurable anti-inflammatory potential, especially when raw garlic is lightly crushed and allowed to rest before cooking. Cooking garlic gently preserves some of its bioactive properties, though raw forms could deliver higher immediate compounds. Garlic can interact with blood thinners in sensitive individuals, so people on certain medications should confirm safety with their healthcare provider. In meals, combine garlic with olive oil and vegetables to maximize benefits while keeping flavors friendly. Cinnamon and cloves add aromatic warmth and have their own anti-inflammatory signals. Cinnamon doses in research often span a broad range, and in home cooking you'll typically use 0.5 to 1.5 teaspoons per day from ground cinnamon, which roughly translates to about 3 to 5 grams. Cassia cinnamon contains higher coumarin levels, so if you're using it daily, consider opting for Ceylon cinnamon to limit coumarin exposure. Cloves deliver a punch of flavor as well as a notable eugenol content. A pinch to a quarter teaspoon per meal is enough to contribute to the spice profile without overwhelming the dish. Rely on culinary use rather than concentrated extracts for everyday meals, and don't exceed comfortable amounts, especially if you have any sensitivity or digestive issues. Black pepper, beyond its taste, helps unlock the benefits of turmeric and some other spices. A small amount per dose, think a light sprinkle or 0.2 grams or so, can make a meaningful difference in absorption. This is especially useful when turmeric or curcumin is part of your daily routine. Pepper's own compounds are not miracle agents, but they support the overall anti-inflammatory pattern when used consistently in meals. Capsaicin, the fiery compound in chili peppers, has been studied for its anti-inflammatory properties as well. Real-world cooking with chili peppers and cayenne can contribute modestly to inflammatory balance, and many people enjoy the heat without issues. In supplements, doses are typically in the few milligrams range daily, but in foods you'll get smaller, cumulative amounts. If you're sensitive to spicy foods, start low and build up gradually, and pair chili flavors with cooling ingredients like yogurt, avocado, or cucumber to keep meals enjoyable. The broader picture matters more than any single spice. A pattern built around fatty fish, such as salmon or sardines, flax seeds or chia, walnuts, and leafy greens supplies omega-3s that support the body's inflammatory equilibrium. Plant-based omega-3 sources can complement seafood, especially on days you don't eat fish. Keep omega-6 intake in balance with omega-3s by favoring less processed oils and packaged foods high in linoleic acid, and steer toward whole food fats like extra virgin olive oil, avocado, and nuts. Leaning into whole food meals also helps to reduce ultra-processed ingredients and refined sugars that can spike metabolic inflammation and leave you feeling less steady. A practical note on ultra-processed pitfalls is necessary. Processed snacks, sweetened beverages, and refined carbohydrates can elevate inflammatory markers over time. When you swap those for vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, and high-quality proteins, you naturally lower inflammatory load. Sugar added in excess plays a role here too. Small, steady intakes are far less disruptive than large, sporadic bouts. The spices you choose work best when they're part of a thoughtful cooking pattern rather than a sporadic add-on. To translate this into a one-day plate, try this approach. Breakfast features oats cooked with cinnamon and a touch of ginger, topped with walnuts and a spoonful of flax seeds, plus a side of yogurt to deliver friendly bacteria and calcium. Lunch covers a salmon fillet dusted with turmeric and paprika, finished with a lemon garlic yogurt sauce and a generous handful of greens. Dinner bowls chickpeas or lentils with garlic, onions, turmeric, cumin, and a gentle chili kick, finished with a drizzle of olive oil and chopped parsley. Snack on an apple with almond butter and a sprinkle of cinnamon for a touch of warmth. Throughout the day, you'll have multiple ways to enjoy spice highlights while prioritizing omega-3s and non-processed foods. This is a practical template, not a rigid script, designed to support a steady inflammatory balance over time. A day on a plate. Inflammation is the body's response to injury or irritants. Acute inflammation is the short-term, protective response that helps the immune system clear damage and begin healing. Chronic inflammation is a longer, low-grade state that lingers and can contribute to discomfort or disease if it persists. Understanding this difference helps you choose foods that support the resolution of acute signals without letting irritation become a reflexive habit. Central to anti-inflammatory eating is a pattern of whole foods rather than isolated miracles. Build meals around vegetables, quality protein, and healthy fats. Prioritize omega-3 sources, especially fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel, which provide EPA and DHA that help dampen inflammatory signaling. Plant-based omega-3s from ground flaxseed, chia seeds, and walnuts supplement intake, though their conversion to EPA and DHA is modest. Include olive oil as the main fat for cooking and dressings. It carries monounsaturated fats and polyphenol that support vascular health. Aim for 2 servings of fatty fish per week and a handful of nuts or seeds most days. If fish isn't part of your pattern, algae-based EPA/DHA supplements and regular use of flax or chia can help bridge the gap. Ultra-processed foods and excessive added sugars drive inflammatory metabolism. Packaged snacks, sweetened beverages, fast food, and refined grains press insulin and inflammatory pathways. Read labels and favor whole foods instead of convenience items. When choosing carbohydrate options, opt for whole grains like oats, brown rice, quinoa, and legumes that bring fiber, minerals, and phytonutrients. Small shifts add up. Swapping a sugary drink for water, choosing fruit instead of candy, and seasoning with herbs and spices rather than sauce packets supports steadier energy and less chronic irritation. Spices and herbs matter, and here are practical doses that have shown activity in studies. Turmeric can be used as curcumin, typically 500 to 2.0 milligrams per day, often with a pinch of black pepper to boost absorption, since piperine helps curcumin stay in the body longer. Ginger is commonly used in amounts of 1.0 to 2.0 milligrams daily. Cinnamon might be used at about 0.5 to 1.5 grams per day. Garlic provides about 1 to 2 cloves daily for flavor and bioactive sulfur compounds. If using multiple spices in a dish, combine turmeric with pepper and garlic to maximize anti-inflammatory effects, but avoid relying on supplements alone. Food patterns that work are those that feel sustainable and tasty. A solid plan uses protein at every meal, fiber from vegetables and legumes, and healthy fats that help with satiety and nutrient absorption. Practice mindful cooking. Include citrus, herbs, and spices for flavor instead of heavy sauces loaded with sugar. Pair meals so that you get a balance of muddled flavors and bright textures, which helps you stick with it over time. The goal is a practical, enjoyable way to lower persistent inflammation without promising miracles or a rigid ritual you'll abandon after a week. One-day plate. Breakfast with overnight oats, Greek yogurt, blueberries, ground flaxseed, walnuts, and a dusting of cinnamon and turmeric. Lunch a greens-forward bowl with grilled salmon, avocado, cherry tomatoes, cucumber, quinoa, and an olive oil, lemon dressing. Snack apple slices with almond butter. Dinner a hearty lentil and vegetable curry with garlic, ginger, turmeric. Serve with steamed broccoli. Finish with a square of dark chocolate, if you like. Hydration through water and a cup of green tea. This plate emphasizes whole foods, omega-3 richness, fiber, and spices that support a calm inflammatory response throughout the day. Acute inflammation is your body's quick, temporary response to an injury, infection, or irritation. Think the warmth and swelling after a sprain or a fever when you're fighting off a bug. Chronic inflammation sticks around longer, often quietly, and can be linked to everyday patterns like sleep gaps, stress, poor food choices, ultra-processed foods, and excess sugar. Key takeaways: build meals around whole, nutrient-dense foods, and focus on omega-3 sources. Aim for fatty fish such as salmon, sardines, or mackerel at least 2 servings per week, or include plant-based omega-3s from flaxseed, chia, walnuts, and hemp. Emphasize vegetables, leafy greens, berries, legumes, whole grains, and healthy fats like olive oil. Watch out for ultra-processed foods and high added sugars. They tend to promote inflammation rather than calm it. When you use spices, lean on evidence-backed amounts. Curcumin from turmeric, 500 milligrams to 1, 0 mg per day with meals, and black pepper to boost absorption. Ginger 1, 2 grams per day. Cinnamon 0.5, 1 teaspoon per day, about 2 grams. Garlic 2 cloves daily. These aren't miracle fixes, but they can contribute meaningfully when paired with fiber, protein, and colorful produce. If you've ever wondered how to connect what you eat with how you feel, you're not alone. Small, consistent changes beat fads, and this approach fits real life, whether you're cooking for one, feeding a family, or eating on the go. Try swapping in more whole foods, seasoning with a few of the spices listed above, and noticing energy, sleep, and joints over a couple of weeks. If this resonates, first we'll go deeper into simple shopping lists, quick meal prep ideas, how to read labels for inflammatory ingredients, and budget-friendly swaps in upcoming videos. One-day plate. Half the plate non-starchy vegetables like broccoli, peppers, spinach, with a drizzle of olive oil. A quarter plate fatty fish such as baked salmon for 6 Oz, or a plant-based protein like lentils. A quarter plate whole grain such as quinoa or brown rice, about 3/4 cup cooked. Add a small handful of berries or an orange and a small handful of nuts. Season with turmeric and ginger in cooking and a pinch of black pepper to boost absorption.